Mars, the red planet, drifts through space like a lonely ember against the black void. Its surface is carved by winds that stir endless storms of dust, cloaking the land in a haze that feels timeless. Across this barren world rise jagged cliffs, deep craters and canyons that dwarf anything on Earth. Silence reigns here, so complete that it seems to breathe on its own. This is not just another planet. It is a world that has fascinated humanity for centuries. A stage on which our imagination has always played out stories of gods, monsters, and otherworldly civilizations. But behind the beauty and desolation lies a question that refuses to fade. What has NASA truly discovered on Mars? Since the first missions sent back blurry black and white photos, the planet has whispered clues that both excite and unsettle. We have seen signs of ancient rivers, strange rock formations, and fleeting chemical traces that hint at something more. Each image raises fresh wonder, but also fuels doubt. Could this truly be the dead world we once believed it to be, or is there a hidden story beneath the dust? With every new announcement, debates ignite. NASA presents its findings in careful language, often precise but never reckless. Yet some believe too much is left unsaid, that evidence is held back, waiting for the right moment, or perhaps never meant for the public eye at all. This tension between discovery and secrecy has created one of the most captivating scientific mysteries of our time. This story is not just about Mars. It is about us, our need to know, and our fear of what the answers might reveal. The red world waits, and in its silence, it invites us to listen. For as long as human beings have looked up at the night sky, Mars has stood apart. To the naked eye, it burns red, a wandering star that seemed alive in the darkness. Ancient cultures gave it names steeped in power and fear. To the Babylonians, it was Nergal, a god of war and destruction. The Romans saw in it the embodiment of Mars, their own war deity, its crimson glow reflecting blood spilled on earthly battlefields. Even in myth, the planet was never quiet. It was a world charged with danger, strength, and mystery. Centuries later, with the invention of telescopes, the red point in the sky began to take shape. Early astronomers believed they saw canals, vast structures stretching across its surface. Giovanni Schiaparelli in the late 19th century mapped what he called canali, sparking excitement and misunderstanding. In America, astronomer Percival Lowell took this further, claiming they were artificial waterways built by an advanced Martian civilization struggling to survive on a dying world. Newspapers spread the idea, and the public imagination was ignited. Suddenly, Mars was no longer a distant dot. It was a neighbor, perhaps inhabited, perhaps watching us in return. As the 20th century advanced, science replaced speculation. NASA's Mariner missions of the 1960s revealed a surface scarred by craters, deserts, and canyons, but no sign of Lowell's canals. The Viking landers of the 1970s touched the soil for the first time, analyzing its chemistry and even running experiments designed to detect life. The results were puzzling. Some data suggested biological activity, while other instruments found nothing conclusive. That uncertainty lingers to this day. From Pathfinder and Spirit to Curiosity and Perseverance, each rover has carried humanity further into Mars's secrets, turning speculation into hard evidence, yet never fully closing the door on mystery. Through it all, one goal has remained constant: the search for water and life. Rivers no longer flow, but dry channels and mineral deposits tell a story of a wetter past. Ice lies hidden beneath the dust, and in some regions, seasonal streaks hint at briny flows that might appear and vanish with the Martian year. Each clue suggests that Mars was once far more Earth-like, raising the possibility that life, at least microbial life, may have found a foothold. Yet, while science works patiently, the public imagination runs wild. Every strange rock formation captured by a rover camera, every unexplained shadow or light on the horizon, fuels speculation. Images are circulated online, claimed to show fossils, statues, or even doorways carved into cliffs. Conspiracies grow from the gaps between data and certainty, whispering that NASA knows more than it admits. Are these merely illusions shaped by human pattern-seeking, or are they fragments of a larger truth withheld from the world? Mars sits at the crossroads of myth and science, belief and evidence. It is a planet that has carried humanity's dreams for millennia, and today it stands as both a scientific frontier and a cultural mirror. In every discovery, whether mundane or profound, we see not only Mars, but our own hunger to know if we are alone. Mars is more than a distant red dot in the sky. It is a world whose surface has been carved by time, fire, water, and air, leaving behind clues that speak of a far more dynamic history than anyone once imagined. To study its terrain is to open a book written in stone and dust, a record of billions of years that reveal not only what Mars once was, but what it may still be. The most compelling evidence of Mars's hidden past comes in the form of water. Orbiters and landers have shown us dried riverbeds winding through valleys, deltas shaped like ancient fans, and layers of sediment that could only have been laid down by flowing streams. Polar ice caps gleam at the planet's poles, while minerals discovered by rovers prove they were formed in liquid water. Even more tantalizing are the recurring slope lineae, the dark streaks that appear and fade with the Martian seasons, suggesting the possibility of salty brines still flowing in the present day. For scientists, every trace of water brings the same haunting thought: where there is water, there could have been life. But water is only one chapter. Mars bears the scars of titanic geological forces that once shaped its surface. Rising above the plains is Olympus Mons, the largest volcano in the solar system, so vast it could cover entire states on Earth. Stretching across thousands of miles is Valles Marineris, a canyon system that dwarfs anything found on our planet. These are the monuments of a world once alive with volcanic fire and tectonic upheaval. Yet today, the planet lies quiet, its energy spent, its mountains and canyons frozen reminders of a violent youth. Hovering above this landscape is an atmosphere too thin to sustain the kind of life we know. Composed mostly of carbon dioxide, it is less than 1% the thickness of Earth's air. Without a protective blanket, liquid water cannot remain stable on the surface. It evaporates or freezes almost instantly. Still, this fragile veil is not entirely dead. Planet-wide dust storms sweep across Mars, sometimes covering it for weeks, while seasonal changes reveal shifting patterns in temperature and pressure. These movements hint that the atmosphere is still dynamic, and in its fluctuations may lie clues to how Mars once lost the thicker air that could have made it habitable. Yet perhaps the most captivating discoveries are found not in rock or ice, but in the gases that drift through the Martian sky. Methane, a molecule that on Earth is largely produced by living organisms, has been detected in sudden, mysterious bursts. Sometimes it disappears just as quickly, leaving scientists puzzled about what could be destroying it. Alongside this, organic compounds, the building blocks of life, have been unearthed in the Martian soil. Taken alone, these findings are not proof of biology, but together, they form a picture that refuses to close the door on the possibility of life. As one researcher remarked, if asked a decade ago whether Mars could support life, the answer might have been no. Today, hesitation comes not from doubt, but from possibility. NASA has been careful in presenting these findings. Each discovery comes wrapped in caveats and scientific caution. Methane spikes are described as curious, organics as building blocks. This deliberate restraint reflects the discipline of science, where extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof. But in the silence between what is confirmed and what is left unsaid, conspiracy theories thrive. Many wonder if NASA holds back more than it reveals, choosing only what the world is ready to hear. The search itself relies on machines that serve as humanity's eyes and hands across millions of miles. Rovers crawl slowly over the dust, drilling into rocks, analyzing soil, and sending back images that spark both wonder and speculation. Orbiters map the planet in exquisite detail, some capable of peering beneath the surface to search for hidden ice. Each machine is a miracle of engineering, a stand-in for the explorers who may one day follow. Every wheel mark left by curiosity or perseverance is, in a way, a human footprint pressed into Martian dust. But not all the mysteries are new. Decades ago, NASA's Viking landers performed one of the first life detection experiments on Mars. To the surprise of many, one of the tests produced results resembling biological activity. Yet when the same mission failed to detect organic material in the soil, scientists concluded the findings were inconclusive. To this day, some argue that Viking may have already discovered life, only for its evidence to be dismissed too quickly. Others maintain it was a purely chemical reaction. The debate has never been resolved, and it lingers like an echo from the past, reminding us how fragile the line is between certainty and mystery. What emerges from all of this is a portrait of a world both known and unknown. We can say with confidence that Mars had water, that it still has ice, that it contains organics, and that its atmosphere behaves in strange and sometimes unexplained ways. Yet the most pressing question, whether life ever arose there or whether it still lingers unseen, remains unanswered. Mars reveals enough to keep us searching, but never enough to end the search. It is this balance between proven science and unyielding mystery that makes the Red Planet so compelling. It is not only a place of discovery, but also a mirror for our deepest questions. Are we alone, or are we simply not looking hard enough? Mars is more than just another planet in our solar system. It has become a mirror for humanity's own questions about survival, ambition, and destiny. For centuries, we looked at Mars through telescopes and saw only a red world. But with every rover wheel that touches its surface, with every signal that travels across the void, Mars redefines what it means for a planet to be habitable. The old definition was simple: liquid water, a thick atmosphere, and warmth from the sun. But Mars challenges that, because though it lacks many of these ingredients today, it holds the fingerprints of them in its past. If Mars once supported flowing rivers, if it once had lakes and a thicker atmosphere, then perhaps the definition of habitability is not fixed, but fluid. As one NASA scientist said, Mars forces us to expand our imagination. It asks us not just what life needs, but what life might endure. For some, this possibility is not just a scientific curiosity, but an invitation. The idea of colonizing Mars has leapt from the pages of science fiction to the frontiers of engineering. Visionaries imagined domed cities rising under a pale pink sky, astronauts planting the first seeds in Martian soil, and children one day calling Mars their home. The dream of colonization is fueled not only by curiosity, but by necessity. Earth's resources are finite, and climate change poses stark reminders of our vulnerability. Mars, in this vision, becomes a lifeboat for humanity, a second chance written in red dust. But as astronauts who trained for these missions often remind us, survival there would not be a matter of luxury, it would be a daily struggle, a fragile balance between technology and environment. The race toward Mars is not only about science and exploration, it is also about politics and power. Nations see Mars as a stage upon which global leadership will be proven. Who sets foot there first may not just win prestige, but shape the rules of a new frontier. The echoes of the Cold War space race linger, but today the competition is more complex. It involves not only governments, but private companies, billionaires with rockets, and international coalitions with shared ambitions. This convergence raises questions about ownership, responsibility, and the future of space law. Who owns Mars? And should anyone? At the heart of this debate lies an ethical crossroads. Should Mars be terraformed into a second Earth, or preserved as it is, untouched by human hands? Terraforming proposes transforming the planet, thickening its atmosphere, warming its climate, perhaps even creating oceans again. Supporters argue it is a natural extension of human ingenuity, a way to ensure our species' survival. Critics, however, warn that such actions risk erasing whatever fragile evidence of Martian life might exist, past or present. In their view, Mars is not a canvas for human ambition, but a heritage site for the universe, deserving of protection. The choice between transformation and preservation is not just technical, it is deeply moral. Adding to the complexity are the shadows of secrecy and conspiracy. Every announcement from NASA, whether about methane spikes, organic molecules, or unusual rock formations, carries with it whispers from the public. Are they telling us everything? Some believe evidence of life has already been found. hidden until humanity is ready. Scientists insist on caution, but the gap between scientific patience and public curiosity creates fertile ground for doubt. In these silences, Mars becomes not only a scientific frontier, but a stage for human imagination and mistrust. Yet above all, Mars forces us to confront the most profound question of all. If life exists, or once existed, on another world, what does that say about us? The discovery of even a single microbe would rewrite humanity's place in the cosmos. No longer would Earth be the lone cradle of biology. Life would be a universal phenomenon, not a rare miracle. And if life is common, then perhaps intelligence is not unique either. Perhaps scattered across the stars, there are civilizations wondering the same thing we are. Are we alone? Mars is not just a destination. It is a doorway to that larger question, one that has haunted us since we first looked up at the night sky. Mars, once imagined as a barren and lifeless rock, has revealed itself to be a living, changing world. Its shifting dunes, seasonal methane bursts, and ancient scars from rivers long gone whisper of a planet still in motion. It is not the dead world we once assumed. It is a planet that remembers, a planet that still surprises. Each discovery adds to the sense that Mars is not finished telling its story, and yet the mysteries persist. For every question answered, another rises in its place. Why do methane levels spike and then vanish? What carved the gullies seen from orbit? Could microbial life still be clinging to some hidden refuge underground? Scientists speak with caution, careful not to leap ahead of the evidence, but even their restraint carries weight. As one researcher reflected, Mars has a way of keeping its deepest secrets just out of reach. These puzzles are not failures of science. They are the fuel that drives it forward. The coming years promise to push the frontier further. New rovers, orbiters, and sample return missions are poised to search more deeply, drilling into the soil, bringing fragments of Mars back to Earth, and preparing the stage for something even more profound: human footprints in the Martian dust. Private companies and national space agencies alike are locked into a vision where astronauts step out of their capsules, look up at the salmon sky, and begin writing the next chapter of exploration. And perhaps that is the most cinematic glimpse of all, the moment when humanity, carrying both its questions and its hopes, places a bootprint on Mars, a single step, silent in the thin Martian air, yet echoing loudly enough to remind us that the universe is far larger and far more alive than we ever dared believe.